Welcome, everybody, to the fifth edition now of the Merc at Work podcast. Today, I'm really excited to welcome not only somebody that we work with on a business level, but is also a friend. And Ancil Lea, welcome to the Merc at Work podcast.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Good
Thanks
to
for having
see
me
you.
on.
Good to
Yeah.
have you.
Kyle and Kobe.
Well, Ansel's pretty popular in the LinkedIn space. He's kind of a rock star status out there. So there's a lot of people that may already know him. He doesn't have to do too much of an introduction, but he we're just going to let him introduce himself for those listeners that don't know who that he is and what that he does. Ansel, take it away.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Hey, again, great. Hey, thanks for having me on here. And Merc at Work, I love it. So my background is, I've spent over, if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, I've, really spent my career in healthcare, working with hospitals, surgery centers, and medical clinics of all shapes and sizes. Um, Large specialty clinics, large specialty hospitals, from heart hospitals to orthopedic hospitals to you name it. Your urology, and then a lot of just general hospitals. Um, to say the least. So, at any rate, I've worked, and when I say I've worked, I work with them on health tech. And what I mean by health tech is that a lot of medical software. And when I first started in this business in 1988, um, there was no. I mean, you go and walk into a medical clinic; it was all paper, and many hospitals. Strange thing, many hospitals are still paper on their
I was
electronic.
going to say, you might be surprised to
Uh,
see how many facilities still have big records closets.
Yep.
no, I know it. I mean, gosh, that was 30, however many years ago, over 35 years ago, and gosh, that's getting close to 37. um, Any rate, I've just worked with a lot of you know healthcare entities of various sizes and shapes. And there's just been a lot of over these last 37 years. There's been a lot of changes, both in not only in healthcare, but in technology. Technology is just raced alongside what healthcare has been doing.
Yeah.
And it's just been interesting to see how how it's evolved, and both of them, because they're both running. I mean, they're kind of doing their own thing, and in parallel. And so now it from to actually using this was unique. I come from the IBM world, of having that's where a single server with dumb terminals, doing everything to PCs, the advent of the PC.
Yep.
And that was a big deal back in the 90s. And actually, I was one of the first Microsoft business partners, because I really felt like the whole world was was going that direction. So that was more of a client server type environment. And but Microsoft, it was interesting. Back in the 90s, Microsoft was not ready for prime time. Even their business, their SQL and NT and all that, it was difficult. So I've just seen it evolve to today. Where everything revolves around like I said, I just was at a ASC yesterday having fun, and and I'm checking in on my phone, and so it's and there's more computing power in that phone, than gosh when we started, uh, back then. So, any rate, I've spent a lot of time. I not only have helped, really early stage, um, and even startup companies take their product to market, and sell it. But I've also been on the other side of the desk where I've been involved in selection, where I'll go and help, hospital or surgery center or clinic select, their technology, their software, take them through a process, which I wrote a book about earlier this year, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this it's 2025. Um,
Yeah.
but I wrote a book about that called Ancil's Algorithm, and it's really just a process that I take clients through from thinking, hey, this is what we want, all the way to implementation and to really adoption success. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of, and then I also work a lot in the innovation. I see a lot of new technology. Of course, AI. A lot of everybody's developing, utilizing, leveraging AI in some
Yeah.
form or capacity. So I work a lot with innovation centers and get to see a lot of new health tech that's coming out. Some that's exciting, some that's not ready quite there yet.
Yeah.
But that's exciting. I love that part. That part
Yeah.
of what I do. And get to see some. I just get to see some really cool ideas unfold. Dreams. People have dreams with their technology, and then they'll also help. I'll also help them kind of get down the road on that, and find their first client, help them get their first beta site, help them figure out how to get this thing to market, and also how to be successful with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's awesome.
one thing in that excites me. You know a little bit about our product, Arivo, and how we're getting that launched and rolling. But to hear about Microsoft in the mid '90s, struggling a little bit to get going, and now they're one of the giants in the industry, gives you a little bit of wind in your sail to know that the giant had their struggles to kind of get started as well. So keep grinding.
That was a here's the thing, especially with technology, and I think this is what Microsoft thought that, look, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not going to be you know there were like patches and bug fixes, and it just, I mean, they were doing that. I mean, they were doing that in real time. I remember
Yeah.
I
Yep.
remember a oh gosh, good sized clinic, and we were having problems, and I couldn't figure out we couldn't figure out what was going on, and we finally figured out it was Microsoft, and it was something about the database, and so how do you tell a client that hey, it's a software problem, and we were a reseller at the time. We
Uh-huh.
resold this package called Millbrook, which ended up getting sold to GE and became a product called Centricity. Um, and we were one of the first ones. We were the top 5 Rs in the country. But I'm telling you, you know, having a good partner, having a good technology partner is important, because the client's looking at you going, "Hey, it's a software problem. It's your problem." I'm like, "Well, really, it's not. This is a Microsoft problem." And so having a good MSP, these days, is important as you go in, and or anytime. It's always been that the hardware networking guys, MSPs, are invaluable. Having a good partner like that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, thanks.
Yep.
Thanks for taking us a little bit down the road and what's been your growth of the career and experience. And um, I know you're doing a lot of things with your consulting business, so it's exciting to have been part of it a little bit and watch you continue to grow uh, in that space.
Oh, thank you. And really, I'm so excited about Arrivo and what you guys are doing with Arrivo and the great potential. I mean, that you guys have there, um, and really getting your first sites, and it's you guys have worked hard at it. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's as you know, just like going back to that Microsoft story, it's a process, but we are very excited. We've got a good team put together, and um, I mean the potential that we see and the growth of the product itself, just in feedback in short periods of time is the potential is really good. So appreciate that and appreciate all that you've input to help that process.
Yeah, thank you, Ansel. I
Absolutely.
know the team is very excited too. So
Well, thanks. And again, I'm excited about what you built, and how it can help your clients, and how they can leverage this information to make really great decisions. So it's exciting. Proud to be
Yeah,
part
for
of
sure.
it.
Yeah.
yep. And, Ansel, actually, I have a question for you that kind of relates to healthcare and innovation and technology, and that would be, whenever you look at healthcare, either healthcare professionals, whether they be doctors, nurses, people that work in the supply chain, even administrators, what do you see the need for those healthcare professionals as far as when it comes to technology? Where's that need located at for the market right now, and kind of what do you see from your perspective?
Well, I think I think kind of comes back to making good decisions. I had a doctor at a large surgery center, and I was doing a round of interviews trying to figure out what type of solution they needed. And listen, these guys, when you they go and make a purchase, it's not a small deal, and that he told me, we were sitting there and I was interviewing him. He said, "Listen, I this time I do not want to cut corners because it has bit us. I mean, it has made life miserable, and because what I think they did is they cut they cut corners and under bought on training, and thus a lot of their staff wasn't trained. They're trying to save a nickel, and it's costing them a dollar.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
in heartache, and making good decisions. I think that there's technology. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting technology. So there's technology to help you do anything, and
Yep.
it's just got to be it's if you think it's a good fit, and it's something you just need to do your best to make a great decision, and whether whatever it may be. Again, I was checking in yesterday at the surgery center to have this procedure done. I was just thinking back to days of clipboard, and I'm sitting there with an iPad, and kind of going through my history, and it was just really interesting. And it's really they're filling the gaps, and looking for solutions that can help people save time, FTEs, and not make mistakes, and having good data, so that they can
Yeah.
do their get the bill out the door, that's clean and get paid, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and also get um, provide great care, because they're looking at,
Yeah.
I'm I'm laying there in probably, well, I guess it was the pre-op. I was about to go into or have this procedure, and they were asking me about of course, my allergies, and I have allergies to drugs, and so that was interesting, because I had just filled that out, and it already, they were already using that as a, the the point, the what do they call it, the point, not a point of truth, but that the EHR really is the,
Yeah.
that is your, where your truth is, so that you can make good decisions and take care of your patient. So and but it's different, and understand. Here's the thing: understanding healthcare is a whole thing all to itself, and that's when I first started this in this in '88. I, as I was telling someone in the, I guess, a couple of days ago, that and I've also, in one of my books, I talk about listening, and that, because I didn't know everything, and 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 I still don't know everything. It's I know a lot, and but I also had a lot of experience. So um, listening, and to figure out what the client needs is such a big deal. Um, so, at any rate, I'm kind of wandering around here, but um,
No,
uh,
like one of the things that I was gonna even say about that is, um, oh, now I think I got too excited. Now my mind skipped a beat. Anyway,
yeah, I'm one.
old age is kicking in.
Man, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But hey,
No,
I did want to say, like, if it's okay, I'd like to say
yeah,
that I've written a series of of books. Of course, the algorithm book, but also the Common Grounds book. All right, and as a matter of
yeah.
fact, I'm about to launch Common Grounds 3, and some of
Oh
this is
wow.
about relational selling, which is which we talk a lot about, and do in
Yeah.
this health tech, this health tech environment, and how big that is.
I know it sparked. I think that cup of coffee on the front of that book just shot
There you go.
some caffeine into the brain. So
Yeah.
now I'm cooking again. But what I was going to say is, you mentioned about technology and how it can do so many things to help. And now, because it's so prominent, the costs are not astronomical like they could have been, years ago, where it's like you're implementing some software program, facility wide or system wide, and you used to hear stories of millions of dollars, and those kind of things still exist. But your simple iPad check-in at the surgery center is probably pretty affordable. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made that decision. They're not going to spend $1 million to check somebody in, on something that, an FTE, or something like a different sort of paper trail system could have been just as effective and cost significantly less. So technology, the advancements have also made it more affordable, and I think that's something else that's we've tried to focus on our product. It's like there's so much data that you can get, and the technology is affordable. You know,
Yeah.
here's how you can save money, and I that goes back again to what you were talking about. So yeah, definitely. Definitely the way things are trending.
You know what? You know what? I've worked with several, as you know, several health tech companies, and what I'm seeing is one of the things you guys are providing is that where there's a difference being made in that you provide this white glove service, in that you're downloading, you're taking their data and giving handing it to them in a format that they can go and make decisions with it. So you're doing the hard work. you know
Yeah.
Yep.
that's the hard work. And here's the thing: in healthcare today, whether you're a surgery center, hospital, clinic, I mean, your bandwidth is low. And what I mean bandwidth is that your staff, you don't have a bunch of staff to go and you know to do all this stuff. That's kind of where the rub is with technology, is that hey, you get all this great technology, it takes people to run it. and
Hmm.
and a lot of clinics, surgery centers, and hospitals, they don't have the staff to do it. And so the white glove service, where you can take that work off of them, and where they can enjoy the power of their data and help them, it is what I'm seeing, is the difference maker.
Yeah.
And when you can, set everything up for them, all they have to do is learn it and access it and look at dashboards, and where they're not having to sit there and have staff load data and all that. That's powerful. And that's what I see today, where I see a little difference maker. Again, there's just lots of technology out there, but does it add to your work? I mean, is it going to make you money? You're going to get a return on investment, but also, can you implement it? Because I
Yeah.
promise you, there's millions, if not billions, of dollars worth of software sitting on shelves out there that has
Yeah.
never been implemented. Um,
Yeah.
and it's because they don't have the bandwidth to do it. And what you guys are doing with this white glove service is just, it helps them. It's a no brainer. It becomes a no brainer. You become part of their staff, and that you're helping them, get this data and download the data, their own data, so that they can make good decisions.
Yeah. The thing that we've always tried to focus on that as well. I love that description of the white glove service. But even beyond implementation, you know, you hear about, you just download a certain software on your computer and maybe somebody helps you get it started, but then you're stuck, you're lost. You're like, okay, if you leave it on the shelf, like you said, for a month, you forget about the features or there's been updates and you just get back to it and you're like, well, I don't really know what to do. My other processes and stuff have got me, so occupied. Like our goal has been, this is just like you said, your data, you make the decisions with it, but we're always a phone call or an email away. Like it's part of us. It's just an
Yep.
extension of our services. It just allows you to see everything on your own time, but you don't. You're buying into Merck as well. You're not just buying a platform that disappears into space.
Absolutely. And, something else you just made me think of. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just rattling on here.
No, it's great.
When and I talk about this in my book, Ancil's Algorithm, which you can get on Amazon, by the way. Um, just saying.
Small plug.
But is that, look, many times you'll have somebody in the C-suite or somewhere make a decision on a piece of technology, and then what, two things make it not work. One is not having the people, but also having the people that don't want to use it. and
Yep.
Yeah.
and and let me tell you, I have failed, magnificently in this this area. That's why I really, it's important. If you don't get their buy-in on, and that's part of this process. When I was asked to go and help do these selections, I'm going to get their they're going to get. I want their input on the front
Mhm.
end. The people that are actually going to use the product, I want their, I want their input. How would this help you? Do you see this would help you? Because if they're not bought in and part of the team on the front end, when it comes time to adopt the thing, you know, they are not excited to do it. They're like, is this going to make my job? Is this going to add to my job? Can this make my life easier? You know, all those things. And I promise you, I failed at this. Um, and that, not getting their buy-in where say, hey, the main doctor's bought it, and so now it's time to implement, and the staff is they're sitting there going, yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead. I'm not going to do this. Seriously.
Yeah.
And so getting getting their buy-in on the front end is so important. And
Yeah.
the people that make the decisions, yes, I mean, have to go through the process. But when you're doing a selection, that it's so important that you get everybody's input and buy-in.
Totally. No, that's great. That's great advice. It's like you said, you don't want to put something in there that nobody likes or they don't know how to use. Otherwise, it's not helping them.
It's not, and it's just again, it's sitting on the shelf. I mean, it's the systems I've it's worked with through the years. They've been kind of mission critical, so they have to. I mean, they have to make it work or not. I mean, I've seen them just throw it out. It just what blows my mind. But here's the thing: reimbursement's going down, and so the days of pitching a piece of $1 million piece of software and just changing horses. It's hard to do that these days because with the
Mhm.
margins being what they are, you've got to get buy-in um, from the get-go, right from the start,
Yeah.
and that's part of this process that I outline in my book, not coming, yeah, my book, Ancil's Algorithm. Again, where you can, if you've got any questions on that, you can, send me a direct message here on LinkedIn.
Deal.
Something I want to talk about, Ansel, is you have those people in the C-suite, and you want to be able to justify ROI to them without them already having the ability to see the tech and work. How are you able to justify that ROI in a conversation, or maybe, is a demo the right way to do that? Is, just kind of touch base on that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kobe. And that's I guess that's part of a lot of kind of some training we do, but having gone through the process and sold lots of software, um, you know, one there are multiple things that affect that, and yes, you've got to have a good pitch. Pitch is not only it. I mean, you've got to have good software and
Yeah.
functionality, and that actually stinking works. So and then I'll back up and say when I say that I also say you've got to have social proof and social proof, but more than that, probably more is that you have to have trust. You have had to have built trust along the way for someone to make a purchase. I,
Mhm.
I, I won't I won't ever forget. We'll never forget. Never. So I'm sitting there with a. We've done, man. We have done all the demos. We have we have we have made the site visits. We have done our work, and this was back early, working on an IBM deal. And so I get in, it's a big oncology group. And so we get in there, and the IBM contract, the IBM just for the hardware was as thick as my book. And this lady just was, she was scared to death because they just their contractors. I mean, and there was no change in their contract. There's no change in the IBM contract, but
Yeah,
that
that's big
contract,
blue.
I mean, that it was an inch thick. And she's looking at me going, because they want the system, and but she's at a point of fear. And and she looked at me, and and it's just it's just really at that point it was the administrator and I sitting there having this conversation. And at having had a proven track record and a proven relationship, she trusted, and she went ahead and signed the thing. So that's one of the things I talk about, and that's part of relational selling. It's really building trust, building relationships, and doing right by the client. After she did that, they never had they're one of the best clients we had. And They used the system like it, and it did everything that it needed for it. They wanted it to do. But there are these times I won't forget my. I mean, I kind of when I first got in the business, I'm sitting here and going selling pieces of software to a clinic that at the time would cost as much or more than a house. And I was just like floored. I'm just me myself. I I'm like, how in the heck am I going to do that? And 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 I'm like, I mean, that's really right out of 1988. I'm demoing to like a three doctor practice. The system ends up being in probably 20s or 30s, $1,000. And this is really for just billing and scheduling. That's nothing. And I'm thinking, holy cow! And I ended up being probably the top salesperson. But but I had to get over that. I mentally had to get over. Now now it's all subscription, and it's easy
Yep.
buy, easy purchase. Yeah, there are multiple things. I mean, I got a laundry list here that from having a good pitch to being able to show the right pieces of parts of the software to all along the way building trust, and being able to really close the sale. And then that's no small deal.
I,
All
I
that.
like that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ansel.
No, just it just it it that's what it comes down to. And and I just did a post the other day where this I don't know how much time I spent with this clinic. Clinic wasn't very big. When we finished up, the doctor said, all right, I want you to go up here to Cabot, Arkansas. you know I can't remember the doctor's name, but he said, I want you to go see him. He's my friend. He's a family doctor. He's got about the same size practice. He said, he's going to buy whatever I buy. You don't have to go do a pitch. You don't have to do a demo. Just take him a contract, and he'll sign it. I was like, what? And listen, I had no idea during the whole process that I was doing it. I was going to get a twofer out of this thing, and that there were two sales pending on how we did this. Not that it would have changed anything, but it was just that was kind of crazy. And but really, let me also kind of go down the road a little bit on that. Every time you go do that, and this is important. Every time you go and you get somebody's trust to sign an agreement, you got to deliver. You've got to deliver
Yeah.
the promises you made. You've got to deliver,
Yeah.
because your next sale is depending upon the promises you made just then. And social proof. These days I call it social proof. Testimonials. Any of that. Both either on video or on in writing that has such a big impact on how you do sell, but also how you do how you get far down the road uh, with your process.
I love that
Yeah.
discussion on trust because it is so much that business is so oriented towards having confidence in uh, who's delivering a product or service to you, and then when they're confident, then they ask you for other things, and then when you present them with other things, they're confident you'll deliver because you've built that trust. So
Yeah,
100%.
and that's
Yes.
who Merck is. I mean, that's the work that you guys have done, through all these years, and so um, you've taken care of your clients. That when you do that, the trust is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something I even seen, that I've seen too, relating to trust is it's not one-sided. Some of the customers that we have, they've instilled, so much trust in us, and we kind of trust on them in a way to send us more work. If we come and we deliver, what they're expecting, we're expecting them to call us again and say, hey, we did a good job. We trust in you. We're hoping that you trust in us, and we were able to keep going. So it's not, I wouldn't say that either it's one sided. I would say that trust is really, relational, and it's both ways.
Yeah, it definitely reciprocates because the more you build it, the more, even just a question like, can you do this or can you help with that? That's just how things continue to grow.
You know,
Yeah.
I,
Or even it may be one piece that they contact us and ask for, an appraisal on or whatever it may be that's just sitting there. It may not be a full on inventory, and they trust us and they say, hey, here's this one piece. Can you help us out? So
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have to be big. It can be of all sizes. So,
and I think it's valuable and meaningful to say no, and be just real candid with them in the process. Not that you have to go out of your way to say no, but I mean, it's just being honest with them.
yeah. Yeah. That trust is built so much on, like you said, honesty and doing the right thing over and over again.
Absolutely. Well, and I know you guys have built a whole business on that. So it's you're in the. I mean, you guys are in the groove, and uh, let me also tell you, and I may have, this may be repeat, but um, sorry for the glare. I got the sun coming in here, but that I tell this story, and I think it's in Common Grounds too. That there's and a VC VC told us that this to a roundtable of healthcare software CEOs. She said that she had gone with one of the solutions they had invested in to on a big call, big hospital. And so they're in the middle of this presentation, and the CEO and the CFO, man, they were eating it up. The guy, the owner, the creator, the founder was sitting there doing he was doing the demo, and and she said, I sit there and I was watching all this, and then I look in the back of the room, and here's the CEOs, CFOs, CIOs team sitting back there, about 10 people, you know, they're all the CEO, CIO, whatever they're all nod their head, yeah, all that, yeah, they're into it. The guys in the back of the room are sitting there on their phones, um, looking this guy up and checking out their media, and come to find out he didn't have any. Uh, there was either I can't remember if it was a no landing page or no social media, no proof. So all this stuff that you're doing matters because, what that did is it caused the whole deal to just come to a screeching halt because they were like, because they actually raised their hand. They're saying, look, I know you like this guy's stuff, and whatever. I don't even know what the solution was, but there's no social proof. There's no, nobody's out here, with a testimonial saying, hey, we're using this, we love it, or whatever. And nor does he have a LinkedIn page or all that kind of stuff. And you've got to have social proof, and that's really key, I think. And I mean that I sat there and just with my mouth open, I was just listening to her. And she said, "Well, we still don't have the deal, and this is the VC, coming in,
No.
and she is dynamite. And I mean, basically get out of her way, but she was, analyzing and just telling us, the painful lesson that they had learned.
Yeah, that's, we had somebody working with us that, one of the things he would do initially if somebody reached out or he heard from, a certain company is he'd go look them up. And that's what everybody does now. And so,
Sure,
like you said, that social proof, we have so much information at our fingertips now that if you don't share who you are, like you said, you don't have a website, you don't, make yourself known, then the people who do and show who that they are and share a little bit about themselves, they're going to win. And that's what you see. You see that it's if it goes down a black hole when you look for somebody, then you don't know if it's a fly by night operation. You don't know, how much trust there is. But when you see experience, when you see somebody who's, if it's a business, type thing, they're out in the field, they're getting, testimonials, they're out doing work, the customers trust them. All that does is, again, goes back to your trust comment.
yep,
It builds the trust, it builds the relatability, and now people look to you as an expert, or at least open the door for you to be contribute.
absolutely. And it's a, and it's a, and if with folks, if I would encourage them, if they don't have a lot of that, that it's it's not too late. Just as I say, start small. Just start with something and start doing something, and that eventually it will, it'll get bigger, and and have more impact on what you're trying to do. So you know they say the best time to have done started something was yesterday, and the second best time to start it is today. So
Yeah.
and so starting it today, something, start small, something. Um, I follow so many people that that are inspiring to me, and just start with something small. They talked about one. I just saw a reel maybe yesterday, or the day before, talking about just 1%, get 1% better, and maybe just put, people are scared to post, just put a post out there, or like somebody's,
Hmm.
follow somebody, or comment on what they're doing on LinkedIn. So I actually have a whole thing. I have a whole list of posting tips if somebody is interested in getting one of those. Just to direct message me. I'm happy to share those.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
If anybody has doubts, go see how many followers Ansel has, and you won't have any doubts anymore.
It's as Ringo Starr says, it don't come easy, and one of my favorite songs. But yeah, it's been a work, and
I
we don't have a bunch, but it's I feel like we worked hard to get what we got.
I saw a real prominent business influencer talking about his podcast that he started and some of those things that he did. And he said, when I started creating content, he said it was like I'd go and I'd check, okay, how many people are listening? And it'd be one listen. And a week later, he'd have two or three. And he's like, okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to dedicate to do this. I don't know if it was daily or weekly or something, but I'm going to go 6 months and put out content every single day. And he said it was like, he'd have one listen to a podcast, and a week later it was 10 listens. And then, 2 months later it was 100. And then he's like, but then it caught momentum. And he goes, I always tell people it's like, it's consistency and it's sticking to it, because so many people will say, okay, I went out there and I did that and I started sharing value with people, and I thought I was just going to be, take off. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. The guys with millions of followers, they started out with one person listening. They
Yep.
started out with 10 people listening. And now they have a million 6, 7 years later down the road. So just like you said, it's consistency, it's hard work. And going back to one of our previous guests that we had on, it's grit. It's just getting in there and being gritty.
percent. Um, you just have to, every day, you've got to be thinking about something every day, and maybe big. And I've had some really big posts. I've had some really big interactions, engagement, and then some days it's meh. I put something out there,
Yeah,
it's like meh. But
yeah,
but what I get is, I see people in different venues and they're like, "You're everywhere." I'm like, it appears that way. And matter of fact, they've accused me of paying LinkedIn to put me in places. They said, you appear at the top of my feed every day, and I'm like, because algorithm, because I'm posting, I'm trying to do all the things, and whether I'm also doing a poll. Polls are fun to do, but those are in my posting tips as well. Just things, just really easy things to do every day. Whether it's just invite 10 new people to connect with you,
yeah,
or that you're following
Yeah,
10 new
that's great.
people, or both. Um, so,
yeah,
anyway, those are strategies for online success, I think.
No,
yeah.
those are all great, Ansel. And we have about 10 minutes left, so I'm going to kind of go ahead and start winding us down a little bit. And I want to take you back to 1988. And I want to say, Ansel, if you had to look back and look back on yourself and give yourself any kind of advice, what would that advice be? Whether it's, the transactional, relational, relationship, social proof, you can touch on anything.
Yeah, going back, I have tried to, I really, I've, through my career, I have, I don't know that I have a lot of regrets. I do, what I've tried to do throughout my career is really follow the Lord daily, and that allow Him to guide me, and that my faith has played a big part in what I've done. And so, with His guidance, I do the best I can, and man, have I seen some really big times, and I've seen some really low times, but through it all, that being the things that are important, work well, definitely work. I'm so thankful to my parents who taught me to work hard. Um, and I've been working since I was about 12 or 14. I can't remember. Probably earlier than that, but that the work ethic has just been, just I'm so grateful for in my career, and hopefully I've tried to pass it along to my kids as well, and now I have grandkids. So that's crazy. Time has Here's the thing: time has gone by so fast, and we say 1988. That that was just a blink. I just
Hmm.
I just blinked, and here I am, 37 years later, and time has gone by so quickly. And the things that matter, um, are are not. I think technology. I love technology, and I love working with healthcare and healthcare professionals, and that doing it out of the doing it for their best interest. That you're serving their best interest, and also becoming friends with these people, the people that I've, you the CEO of the surgery center that I was in yesterday is a former client of mine, and and so they're like, it was really funny because you know I'm there at 6:30, getting all ready to go in, and he comes by and sees me, and so I'm. It's so funny. They got me in the surgery room. They put me to sleep. Yeah, they're like, "Who are you?" Because I was talking to the anesthesiologist, and I was like, "Hey, I work with, I was just asking about what he did. He's about to put me to sleep, and I and I said, oh well, and he talked about Ash, Arkansas Surgical Hospital. I said, well, that's one of my clients, and he said, well, I do anesthesia there too, and so we were having a good conversation until the doctor walked in, and he said, okay, time to go, and he said, then the anesthesia guy said, good night.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man.
So develop, you know, develop, these wonderful relationships. What I have enjoyed through the years is developing friendships, people I care about, people that can call on me anytime, people that I'll pray for, and people that will pray for me, as I'm undergoing a procedure. So, um, you know, it's just yeah. Those are the things that are important, and as I've gone through my career, that hopefully I've made some really good friends and blessed some people along the way, and they sure have blessed me.
That's great. Like,
Those are great, Ansel.
yeah, that's definitely can appreciate that. It's, like you said, hard work, keeping the first things first.
Yeah,
So it's, we, in our discussions we've had and the time we've known you, we know we really align on those kind of topics, and definitely appreciate that about you. And that's, again, I've heard people say you have to love people to be able to sell, and to be able to provide services that make a difference. And that's, I think there's so much truth in that, because if you do love them and you care about them, that's why you're trying to make a difference. It's not transactional. It's relationship driven. It's because you care, you want them to be successful, and it reciprocates.
yeah, and
Yep.
and that's what I know about you guys. And that's what I've appreciated about us being really. I hate to use the word common spirit, but we're that. But we're very much aligned along those lines, and that what a blessing that is. And I appreciate the way you guys go about things.
Yeah. Same to you.
Thank you,
And
brother.
Ansel too, I loved how the first thing that you mentioned, whenever I asked you that question, you mentioned your religion. And I've had experience too. It was about 2 years ago. I was in a conference in Atlanta, and there was a guest speaker, and afterwards, say if anyone wants to stay and ask me questions, go ahead. And there was about 7 of us that came up to the stage and started talking to him. And I asked him a very similar question. I said, if you had to give me one piece of advice, what would it be? Where do you see people going that are doing great things and big things? And he said, the one piece of advice I would have to give you was to believe in something. And he says, I don't care if you're a Christian, I don't care if you're Muslim, whatever. This is a guy too who's traveled all across the world, and he's seen everything. And he said the most inspiring people and the most professional people and the people that tend to go the furthest in life have some sort of religion and something that gives them hope and that sense of I can't even explain it, but
Yeah.
that
Believe.
really threw me into a storm listening to that because that's not what I expected to hear. You talk to somebody like that and you're expecting them to give you a book or some kind of course to take or go do this, that. And his answer was very simple. It was belief, believe in something, believe in Christ, believe in whatever it is. And the fact that you just mentioned that and that was the first thing you said, that's the first thing I reminded myself of. Was like, oh man, I remember whenever I asked this guest speaker that question, and that was his response, and it really touched my heart. And you saying that proves, your success too. So thank you for sharing that, Ansel.
Oh, you bet, Kobe. Well, it's hard for me not to share that, and but thank you for guys allowing me to. Thanks for having me on here and be on your podcast,
Yeah.
and I hope we get lots of views.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Well, Ansel, we like to wrap it up with a little bit of personal, and we know your book has a coffee cup on the front of it. So, tell us a little bit about your love for coffee uh, and all of that. Yeah, I know you like working in coffee shops. You have certain roasts or drinks or anything like that. Tell us your
You
coffee
know,
love story.
I do. Yeah, yeah, no, because I really most mornings I head out to the coffee shop and work out of a coffee shop, and that's kind of how I got this whole. Actually, the first book was really about being an entrepreneur and building a business out of a coffee shop because I've seen a lot of people do that and have experienced it and kind of after I got rid of my software company and sold it in the early 2000s. I'm like, I do not want a building. I don't want, I don't want these. So I started working out of a coffee shop, and that's kind of how all that started because I love coffee, and um, so so that's kind of the Common Ground series. But my favorite, I have my own kind of a Ancil Lea mix, in that I go to and they feed
That's
me.
when you've made it.
They make
Send me
it,
some.
hey, someday we may actually do coffee. But at any rate, that's a whole nother thing. But that's kind of in my my pea brain. But I do I get a like an
Yeah,
Americano and because I like it hot. I like
that's
a
what
hot
I was working on.
There you go.
That's what I was working on myself.
And I'll get an Americano, and I'll have steamed half and half, and then I'll have them put honey in it, and
Nice.
I'm in my happy. If I get that, I'm in my happy place, and
It's rocket fuel for Ancil Lea Consulting.
that's right, that's right. And the more shots they pour in there, the better off. So it's
That's great.
that's my go-to, and man, I love working out of a coffee shop. It's just so much fun, and crazy thing is, I don't know if it's me being kind of partially, ADHD or whatever, that it really helps me focus. I can really zone in with all that ambient noise, and I've read studies
Yeah,
on this ambient noise, and that I can really zero in on what I'm working on and get some stuff done.
that's great. Well, that's a good way to wrap it up. And you know what? I've got some coffee connections, so maybe we can do an Ancil Lee slash Merck blend that
Oh, there you go.
we can get something put together. So I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll table that for the future.
It's in the
I'm
making.
I'm for it. I'm for it.
Well,
So like sound
thanks
like a
so
deal.
much. Thanks so much for your time, Ansel. We appreciate it. It's been a pleasure having you on. Let's do it again sometime.
Thank
That
you,
that's
Ansel. It was a pleasure
that,
finally meeting you.
yeah. Well, good to meet you, Kobe, and Kyle. Always great, to be with you. And thank you for having me as your guest. And hope I hope I shared something that's worthwhile for
Yeah,
you and your audience. So, but hey, I'll be seeing you soon.
sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ansel.
Thank you. See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.